If you're a music producer looking to get into the high ticket sales space, watch this video before you quit your job. In this video, I'll be breaking down some common questions I get asked all the time, as well as the real truth about high ticket sales, seeing as I've been here for about 3 years now. So let's get into it. The most common question I get is, will this take time away from music? The answer is no. Usually it gives you more time to focus on music. So rather than working a traditional 9 to 5 or restaurant work and you're maybe earning $400-500 a week, with the right offer, you can make the same amount of money in less time. On some offers, you're able to make, let's say, $250 in commissions to $500 in around 30 to 60 minutes of work. Not saying that every call you're going to get, you're going to close, but it just shows you the potential of it. Plus, you can work from home. This is all remote. You don't need to go traveling an hour and a half. You don't need to catch the bus, a train for 4 hours to get to your job and then do the same thing on the way back. All you need to do is have a nice setup like me, sit behind a desk, sit behind your computer, and close a couple deals, make a couple phone calls. Obviously, a lot of this is easier said than done, so take with whatever I say with a grain of salt. The next question I get is, how much time does this take? So obviously, this is not a one size fits all answer. At the end of the day, there is no cookie cutter solution or answer, but because it all depends on the person. So as a DM or appointment setter, you could be expecting to do around 3 to 4 hours a day. And as a closer, you could be looking to make or to spend around 5 to 6, probably plus hours a day doing closing. And this doesn't include the training or the team meetings, which could be an extra hour or two every day. So roughly, that's how long it takes on a day-to-day basis. Now, the next question is, how much money can I make? Once again, all depends on the person and how far you want to take it. So as a beginner setter, you could usually see around 1 to 3K a month. If you're decent, between 3 to 6K a month, obviously depending on the offer as well. Mid closers, between 3 and 8, 10K a month if you're somewhat decent. And this is the top 1%, which is around the 15 to 40K a month. I've heard of people doing 58K a month, and they're not even that great as a closer. So at the end of the day, most producers and salespeople who are consistent, they hit around the 3 to 8K a month range. Once they're trained up, they've been onboarded and all that fun stuff. The next question is, how long does it take to make good money? Once again, this all depends on the person. You could make your first 10K month if you're on your dream offer or on a dream offer within a couple months. So I don't want to tell anyone that this is going to be an overnight get rich quick scheme. Obviously, if you put in the time, if you put in the work, that's the main thing. If you put in the work, then you can get decent money. I don't want to say decently quick. So timeline, if you put in the work, let's say first 2 to 8 weeks, land your first role. Then from there, it's just about getting ramped up, getting your first commission after like a month or two. Then from there, it's just about consistently getting better and gradually scaling up. So you might start off at 1K, you might go from 1.5 to 2, then it might go from 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 8 onwards. So around 6 to 12 months, you could be looking at making 5 to 10K month potential. And once again, this is not a get rich quick scheme if you're not willing to put in the work. As with anything in life, if you're not willing to put in the work, the results won't follow. The next question is high ticket sales a scam? Yes, you are absolutely right, and I'm here to sell you a dream and finesse you of your wallet. You are completely right in saying that. High ticket sales, it's not a scam. If you believe me back then, you are an idiot. High ticket sales itself is not a scam. There are some bad creators in the space selling some bullshit, which is why people think it's a scam. And as well as all the sleazy marketing that we've heard before from our parents and from previous generations of our sales is pushing something down your throat and all that. So nowadays, it is not that. It's completely different to what it was 20, even 10, 15, 20 years ago. So if you're on a legit offer selling a real offer, as in like selling a real product, then you have the power to make money and change people's lives. So no, it is not a scam. Obviously, I'm not going to say the whole space is not a scam. There are some people selling some bullshit, But if you find the right offer, which if you check out my video on how to land sales jobs, it'll teach you everything you know on how to get onto a right legit offer. So a lot of people say, okay, cool. Like, what do you sell? For me, I've sold everything and everything. I've sold business coaching for massage therapists. I've sold fitness, working under Mike Chang. I've done marketing services for real estate. Right now, I'm selling AI consultant, but I've seen everything and everything from foot photo for females. I've seen something closes for astronauts and commercial space career coaching, which that would be insane. And I saw this. I'm looking for 3 hungry closers to join an OnlyFans management mentorship plus software offer. So it just shows you that there's so much range and variety in the sales space of what you can sell. For you, if you have an interest in selling content creation, there are a ton of people doing that. If you want to sell fitness, there's also a million people selling that. So it all really depends on the offer that you're selling for. Do I need experience? Another common question I get asked all the time, especially when you present yourself on a Loom or on a interview. If you show up in a professional manner, show that you are hungry, and you link your life experiences to sales, then you don't necessarily need experience. Sometimes having no experience is better than having experience, is because sometimes unlearning is harder than learning from scratch. So as I said here. And as a music producer, if you're looking to get into the DM setter, it's going to be super easy to link your experience into the position, because you can say, yeah, I'm a music producer on the side. I'm used to sending hundreds of DMs a day. That is no issue for me. So I'm very confident in my skills that I can turn those conversations into booked calls. Boom. Simple as. For me, I had no sales experience at the end when I started 3 years ago. At the end of the day, companies care more about your mindset, how you communicate, and are you coachable? That's like one of the most important parts, and your energy than experience. Because experience can be taught. It's who you are as a person that can't really be taught. The next question is, can I do this from X, Y, and Z company? Yes, it is 100% remote. You can do it from anywhere. I started doing this in Australia back a couple of years ago, and right now I'm in the UK doing it. And I know people in Australia, Thailand, Lithuania, South America who are all making crazy money doing it from the comfort of their own home. The only thing that you need is to be able to work with the market that you're in. So let's say you're in Australia and you're working for an American company, you're probably going to have to be working like 9 to 5 American hours. So if you're not willing to do that, find another offer or find something closer within your market. So for me, seeing as I'm in the UK, my hours are from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. because I work EST hours. So 2 p.m. is around 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. is around 5 p.m. American hours time. So, but at the end of the day, there are millions of offers. You just need to find offers within your market. So if you're in Europe or if you're in Italy or Spain, there's hundreds of European offers that you can apply for. Same with Australia, same with South America, all of that. Next question. What if I'm introverted? Do I need to be on camera? The crazy thing is people think that sales is all talking. 90% of the day, sales is 80% listening and 20% talking. So if you're calm and you're asking good questions, then you'll crush. You don't need to speak more than they do. At the end of the day, you want them to speak more than you do. That's why introverts do better than extroverts. But to answer the second half of the question of, do I need to be on camera? Yes, you'll need to send a Loom. So yes. And also if you're a closer, 90% of the time you will be on camera, you will have your camera turned on. But I know people who have made like $30,000 a month without turning the camera on. But 90% of the time, yes, you will have your turn to turn your camera on. A little hack that you can do, this is what one of my mentors did, is if you keep focusing on yourself during Zoom calls or Google Meets, you can hide your self view. That way you're not focused on yourself and you're focused 100% on the prospects. So that's a little fun hack that I learned that changed the game for me. The next question is, what if I have an accent? At the end of the day, everyone has an accent. I have an accent, you have an accent. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Some accents have a stereotype behind them. I'm not going to say who or what. And in that case, it may be harder for them than others. But at the end of the day, if you just want a DM setter role looking to make 1 to 3K a month, you don't need to talk. So your accent doesn't really matter. Where you're from doesn't really matter. But if you're going to jump on a closing call or an appointment setting call, then yes, it matters a bit, but at the end of the day, companies would take skills over accents at any day of a week. If you make $100, $100 million, but you have an accent from, I'm not going to name any of the countries, but X, Y, and Z, they're still going to take you because you're printing money. So if you have an accent, it's fine. One of my friends, Lithuanian, killing it, making 12K a month, and has a bit of an accent. I have a bit of an accent, but at the end of the day, if you're making money, why does it matter? Another question is, what happens at the end of a month? Let's say I don't make any sales. Simple, you don't get paid. Unless you have a base pay, which is not common in the industry, you eat what you kill at the end of the day. And this is why sales is not for the faint of heart. You could have some months where you make 5, 10, 15, $20,000 a month, and then other months where you go down to like $2,000, $4,000 a month. So at the end of the day, sales is not for the faint of hearted. But if you are a killer and you're a hunter, and at the end of the day, you eat what you kill. So if you put in the reps, you take those calls, you're out there doing the work, you're going to print money. I won't guarantee it, but you eat what you kill at the end of the day. What does my average day to day look like? So this is what my calendar looks like today. It looks a bit crazy, but I've like schizo maxed with my calendar. So usually I wake up around 8 a.m. and depending on how I feel, sometimes I just get straight to work, which is kind of what I prefer doing. Meditate, I usually do that before the call, and read and journal. It takes around 5 minutes when I first wake up to journal for a bit and read, depending on what I have. So usually I eat the frog first, which is doing the hard task first, if anyone doesn't know what that means. Once I get like an hour of that in, I usually go to the gym, come home, shower, shave, the usual, get ready, have a little quick post-workout snack. Then I go into my second deep work block, which is like another hour and a half. And as you can see here, all the purple bits here are for my sales calls. So I won't leak too much, but this is all the calls I have today. So today I am slammed. And here I've blocked off dinner because usually that's when I have a coaching call here. So that's when I would join that. And then usually at the end of the day from around 4 to 5 p.m. EST, I'll just do some pipeline management, EOD, fill out my post-call forms, that type of thing. And then from there, I'll review my day, what went well, what didn't go well, what didn't get done, what could I do for tomorrow, what are my top 3 things that I need to get done, and then just repeat it tomorrow. So that's a quick glimpse into what my calendar looks like. At the end of the day, everyone's calendar is different. What works for you, what works for me might not work for you. So you just need to find your style when it comes to building out your calendar. But you need to make sure that there's no white space, because white space is dead space, which means you're going to procrastinate and you don't know what you're going to do, and you're just going to go down that negative spiral loop. So now I'm going to speak about some other thoughts that I have about the sales space. And going back to what I spoke about before, of the high ticket sales is not easy. It's not a get rich quick scheme. You are going to have to work for it. There are 100 other people, millions of other people, all doing the same thing as you. So how are you going to stand out at the end of the day? If you're looking for some quick cash, this is probably not going to be the industry for you. In terms of music, it is probably probably a lot easier to make $5,000 a month off sales than it is $5,000 a month relying on inconsistent placements and royalties and beat sales and all of that. So that's why I decided to go into high ticket sales, use that money to fund my lifestyle in music. The next thing is sales is super volatile. As I mentioned about before, you could have your best month making $10,000, $15,000 a month, and then all of a sudden marketing stops, the owner wants to take a break, market condition changes, and boom, now you're down to 2K next month, and you're gonna have to look for another job. And which is scary because it's not up to you at the end of the day. But that's why you need to financially be literate and not spend all your money on stupid things like strippers at the club. Don't ask me. You're asking too many questions now. But yeah, it's a very volatile, and once again, it's not for the faint of heart. And it's the same with production. Like one day you think you're the shit, and the next day you think you're like the worst and overthink and you want to quit and you want to go get a traditional 9 to 5. But how I like to view it is that's the universe or God testing you to see if you're really built out for it. And if you can get over those mental slumps, then you can succeed. And another thing about the I was going to say music industry, but in the sales industry is there's a lot of lying. There's a lot of people overinflating the numbers. They say, oh yeah, you can make bloody 50K a month, and you get on, and as soon as you get on, it's dead. There's no leads coming in, your calendar's empty, and you're like, okay, where did this 50K a month come from? So that's why it's important to know how to pick the right job. And so once again, another shameless plug, I have a video going all over how to pick the right job and how to land your first role as a music producer. And in saying that, when you're starting out, you might bounce from offer to offer for a bit, and that's okay. The amount of offers that I've been on is crazy. I've probably been on like 10, 15, maybe even 20 offers at this point since I've been in sales. A lot of the time, this is what happened to my friend, is that you're simply just rowing in the wrong boat. An offer can make or break a sales rep. So you could be the world's best closer on a dead offer and you'll make no money. But you could be the worst closer on a 10 out of 10 offer and print money. So at the end of the day, it's just about finding the right home for you. And so at the end, like, you don't want to bounce from offer to offer. You want to stay there for a bit to actually understand and get ramped up. But sometimes life happens, you get disrespected like me, and you have to leave the offer after a day. That's happened to me before. But sometimes if you find your forever home early on, just stick to that offer, because as you know, the impacts of compound interest are just going to exponentially increase. If you go from no offer here, and then you get ramped up, and then you find another one, and then you find another one, you'll always start stopping and starting, which is an issue that I faced for the longest. So I just spoke pretty badly about sales for the past couple of minutes, but why sales? Sales is ultimately one of the most rewarding skills. At the end of the day, communication and sales is the foundation of life. You're always selling something, whether you're on a date with a girl or a guy, you're on a job interview, you're selling a product, you're in these label meetings, you're selling yourself. So it's one of the most important and transferable, also one of the most highest paying skills that you can learn. As well as sales has the ability to give you time, location, and financial freedom, which most other jobs don't. If you work in a restaurant industry, you're stuck there and you're capped at the amount of income that you make. So what I like to do from sales is, as I said before, I use the money from sales to fund my music lifestyle, to go traveling, to go network, to invest in myself with people in the music industry in terms of mentorship, plugins, VSTs. So that's what I ultimately use sales for, as well as like the communication and the foundational part. So hopefully this video was useful for you guys. Let me know what type of videos you guys want to see. If you're interested and you have a couple questions more about getting into sales, feel free to book in a free call with me down below, and I answer all your questions and we can create the best game plan for you. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.